Dr. Alara Tamsin sat in the dimly lit command center of the research vessel Seraphis, surrounded by flickering holograms and humming consoles. Her face was illuminated by the soft blue light of her workstation, eyes fixed on the data streaming across her screen. The ship drifted at the edge of the Echo Belt, a region of space that had earned its chilling reputation as a galactic no-go zone. No one traveled here willingly. It was a place where entire civilizations had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only ruins and eerie silence. There was something about this region of space that caused entire species to disappear, just like that, without any explanation. The remnants of those lost cultures were scattered across the void like forgotten memories. Alara, however, was not one to shy away from danger. She was a xenoanthropologist, someone who studied the ancient civilizations of the galaxy. To her, the Echo Belt was a treasure trove waiting to be uncovered, a place where humanity could potentially learn secrets that could change the course of history. Her research was groundbreaking. No one had dared to delve into these forgotten worlds before, and she was determined to unlock their mysteries. The Seraphis was equipped with the latest technology, and Alara's mission was clear: search for evidence of long-lost civilizations, uncover their secrets, and elevate humanity's standing among the stars. But as she pored over the endless streams of data, a small anomaly caught her attention. At first, it seemed like a glitch in the system, just another random fluctuation in the vast sea of signals and cosmic noise. But Alara's intuition told her something was different. She adjusted the frequency, amplified the signal, and soon realized that this was no random interference. It was a transmission, a message. She leaned closer to the screen, her heart racing. The message was fragmented, distorted by the vast emptiness of space and the passage of time, but the meaning was unmistakable. Help. The machine. Coordinates. Deathworld. Final. Do not awaken it. The message was a cry for aid, but not from any species Alara recognized. The transmission seemed to be from a civilization long extinct, one that had vanished millennia ago. As the fragmented plea played again and again, Alara's fingers hovered over the console, her mind racing. The coordinates embedded in the signal led deep within the Echo Belt, far beyond the reach of known space. And there, according to the message, was an artifact, a key. The message didn't explain what the artifact was, only that it had the power to trigger the Deathworlder war machine, a construct said to be capable of annihilating entire civilizations. Alara's curiosity was piqued. The Deathworlder war machine was a name that she had encountered in the ancient texts of other civilizations, but no one truly knew what it was. It was said to be a creation of an ancient species, forged to protect their world against invaders. The mere mention of it, however, sent a chill through the galaxy's oldest species. Legend spoke of a weapon so powerful that it could erase entire star systems with a single thought. If such a machine truly existed, it could change everything. But what if it was more than just a weapon? What if it was something else entirely? Alara's mind raced with possibilities. Could this artifact, buried deep in the Echo Belt, be a key to unlocking something far greater than she had ever imagined? The question gnawed at her, but she couldn't ignore it. She had to find out what the signal meant, even if it led her into the heart of the galaxy's most dangerous and mysterious region. The Seraphis was the most advanced research vessel in humanity's fleet, capable of navigating through the perilous space surrounding the Echo Belt. With her crew of experts and the ship's advanced technology, Alara felt confident they could uncover the truth. Yet, as the days passed and her team prepared for the journey, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The very thought of a Deathworlder war machine sent shivers down her spine. What if the message was a warning? What if they were about to awaken something far more dangerous than they could comprehend? The Echo Belt was a place where entire species had disappeared, where entire histories had been erased from existence. There were whispers among the galaxy's oldest species that something had wiped out these civilizations, something so terrifying that even the oldest empires had retreated from the region and dared not speak of it. Theories ranged from an unstoppable alien force to an ancient, dormant technology that was activated by the slightest disturbance. But no one knew the truth. Alara's research had already uncovered fragments of these forgotten civilizations. She had studied their remains, pieced together their history, and uncovered glimpses of their technology. It was clear that they had been advanced, capable of creating wonders that humanity could only dream of. But what had happened to them? Why had they vanished so suddenly? And what had they left behind? Alara's mind drifted back to the message. The transmission from the dead species. The warning about the artifact. The coordinates. It was as if someone or something was trying to tell her something important. Something that humanity wasn't ready to hear. With a deep breath, Alara made her decision. She would follow the coordinates. She would find the artifact. And she would uncover the truth, no matter what it cost. The mystery of the Echo Belt was waiting to be solved, and Alara Tamsin would be the one to solve it, no matter the dangers that lay ahead. As the Seraphis set course for the coordinates, Alara couldn't help but wonder, what had the ancient species left behind? And was humanity ready for the answers? The Seraphis was nearing the coordinates, the exact point in the Echo Belt where the artifact was believed to be hidden. The crew, a mix of experienced researchers, engineers, and military personnel, had been on edge ever since Alara discovered the fragmented transmission. As the ship continued its silent drift through the uncharted space, the tension among them was palpable. There was excitement in the air, but also fear, a feeling that something was about to go terribly wrong. Alara stood at the command console, scanning the readings. The artifact was close now, within reach. Every instinct told her to push forward, to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But she couldn't shake the sense that they were being watched, or that something else, something unknown, was moving just beyond the edges of their perception. It was the kind of feeling that gnawed at you, a deep, primal instinct that something wasn't right. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alert, a ripple across the communication frequency. The Seraphis' sensors detected an incoming vessel, something that wasn't supposed to be here. Alara, Lieutenant Ryan's voice crackled over the intercom, his tone tense. We're picking up a strange ship signature. It's coming in fast. Alara frowned, her fingers tightening around the console as she switched to the tactical display. The image of an unfamiliar vessel flickered onto the screen. It wasn't like anything in the human fleet, nor any known species design. The ship was massive, with a sleek, angular shape, its hull glowing faintly with an eerie blue hue. It looked ancient, like something that belonged to a long-dead civilization. We've been detected, Ryan continued. They're hailing us. It's an alien transmission. Alara's heart skipped a beat. There was no time to prepare, no time to even think. She gestured for the transmission to be opened. A moment later, the face of a being appeared on the screen, an alien, tall and regal, with silvery blue skin that shimmered under the light. Their eyes glowed with a faint, unnatural radiance, and their voice was calm yet commanding. I am Arithal of the Eruvii, the alien said, his tone heavy with ancient wisdom. We have been watching humanity's progress from the shadows, and we have come to warn you. The crew aboard the Seraphis exchanged uneasy glances. The Eruvii were an enigmatic race, known for their strict neutrality and reluctance to interfere with galactic affairs. Few knew much about them. The fact that they were here now meant something serious was at stake. What do you want? Alara asked, trying to keep her voice steady, though her mind was racing. She had no idea why they had come, but she could sense that this wasn't going to be a casual conversation. You are about to make a decision that could end all life in the galaxy, Arithal replied, his voice unshaken. You are pursuing the Deathworlder war machine, and activating it will have consequences beyond your understanding. We have seen the destruction it can cause. The last time it awoke, entire star systems were wiped out. Alara's breath caught in her throat. This was the warning she had feared. But the artifact? It was supposed to hold the key to understanding ancient technologies. It could revolutionize everything humanity knew about the universe. I understand your fear, Arithal continued, but the war machine is not just a weapon. It is a force of judgment, one that evaluates whether a species is fit to survive. It is an extinction-level device. If you activate it, humanity will be tested. And I do not believe you are ready. The weight of his words hung in the air. Alara felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The Eruvii were not known for exaggeration or for making empty threats. The ancient race had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and their warnings were always based on centuries of knowledge. But we don't even know what it is, Alara protested. This is our chance to uncover something that could help us understand the past, and maybe save us from our own mistakes. You are right to seek knowledge, Arithel said, but there is more at play here than simple curiosity. The war machine's activation is irreversible. Once awakened, it cannot be shut down. We offer you a choice. We can erase your memory of the coordinates and the signal. You will forget everything, and humanity will never be able to find the artifact. The offer hung in the air, like a sword poised to fall. Erase everything? The idea was almost unthinkable. Alara's hands shook as she considered the choice before her. Her entire mission, her career, had led her to this moment. The thought of abandoning everything, of forgetting the very discovery that had consumed her for so long, felt impossible. But the stakes were enormous. What if Arithel was right? What if the Eruvii were warning her about something far beyond her understanding? Could she really risk activating a weapon that could wipe out all of humanity? The room fell silent as Alara wrestled with the moral dilemma. The crew was watching her, waiting for a decision. Some of them were eager to push forward, to unlock the secrets hidden within the Echo Belt. Others were more cautious, aware of the potential danger, and some were simply afraid. Do you truly believe humanity is ready for this? Arithel's voice broke through her thoughts. Do you trust your species to wield such power? Can you be certain that your people will not abuse it, that they will not let it fall into the wrong hands? The words struck a nerve. Alara knew that humanity's past was full of mistakes, wars, greed, and destruction. But she also believed that humanity had the potential for greatness, that they could rise above their flaws. We can't turn back now, Alara finally said, her voice firm. We have to know what's out there, and we have to decide for ourselves what we will do with it. The Eruvii's gaze hardened. Then you have made your choice. But know this, we will not stand idly by if this leads to catastrophe. As the transmission ended, the tension aboard the Seraphis reached a boiling point. Some of the crew members rallied behind Alara, eager to continue the mission. They believed that humanity had to push forward, no matter the risk. But others were now questioning their role in this dangerous pursuit. Was it worth it? Was it ethical to seek such knowledge if it meant potentially condemning the entire galaxy? Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Alara, a shadowy faction within the human government was already watching from afar. They had been tracking the Seraphis's progress and had learned about the artifact. To them, it wasn't a matter of discovery, it was a matter of control. They saw the war machine as a way to secure humanity's dominance over the galaxy, to seize power and subjugate other species. Alara's choices were becoming ever more complicated. The path ahead was no longer clear, and as tensions grew within the crew, she couldn't help but wonder, would humanity survive its own ambition, or would the pursuit of knowledge lead to their ultimate downfall? The chains of fate were tightening, and she was about to learn just how far humanity would go to reach the stars. Alara stood in the heart of the Seraphis, her fingers trembling as she adjusted the final sequence to activate the coordinates. The voice of Arithel, the warning of the Eruvii, echoed in her mind. She had not forgotten their plea to stop, to erase her memory and abandon the artifact. But here she was, with the entire galaxy's future resting in her hands. A decision had to be made. The crew had been divided, but Alara had already made up her mind. She couldn't turn back now. Humanity's thirst for knowledge, the drive to understand their place in the cosmos, outweighed everything else. The Seraphis was moving forward into the Echo Belt, a region that no one had dared to enter for millennia. There was no going back. As the ship neared the location indicated by the coordinates, the vast emptiness of the Echo Belt began to transform before their eyes. Space seemed to warp, flickering like an old holoprojection, revealing fragments of ancient star maps and long-forgotten debris from destroyed civilizations. The weight of it all was suffocating. They were entering the heart of a mystery that had consumed the galaxy for ages. Then, the readings changed. The sensors blared to life, their alarms ringing through the command center as they crossed into the core of the anomaly. The artifact was closer than expected, but it was not what Alara had imagined. It wasn't a weapon, a destructive force, as the legends had suggested. It was something entirely different. "Captain, you need to see this," Ryan's voice came over the intercom, panic creeping into his tone. Alara rushed to the bridge, and her eyes widened as she saw the display. There, nestled deep within the void, was a structure unlike anything the Seraphis had encountered. It wasn't mechanical in the traditional sense. Instead, it had a form that blended technology with organic matter. The shape was vaguely humanoid, though grotesquely twisted, its limbs a combination of metal and flesh, like a sleeping giant. "The war machine," Alara whispered under her breath. But this was no ordinary machine. It was alive. The being's core pulsed with a faint bioluminescence, its form a bizarre hybrid of biomechanics that defied all understanding. This was not a weapon as humanity had imagined. It was a sentient being, a guardian of the ancient species that had long since disappeared from the stars. "We need to approach cautiously," Alara ordered, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "Prepare the containment protocols. We don't know what this thing can do." As the Seraphis drew closer, the entity began to stir. Its eyes, hidden beneath a thick layer of transparent armor, flickered open with a strange, unsettling awareness. It was as if it had been waiting for something, or someone, to awaken it from its long slumber. Alora's breath hitched as she watched in awe and horror. The machine wasn't a weapon to be controlled. It was a force of nature, a keeper of balance, with a purpose that had nothing to do with humanity's ambitions. This was the last of its kind, a relic of a long-dead collective effort from a group of species long lost to time. The Deathworlders, as they had been called, had been nothing more than an alliance of different races, all working together to create a single entity with the power to preserve the balance between life and death across the galaxy. The war machine had not been created to conquer or destroy, it had been made to judge. It was a sentient force designed to eliminate those civilizations that fell into corruption, greed, and imbalance. In other words, the war machine was a cosmic referee, deciding whether life in the galaxy would thrive or collapse based on the actions of the species inhabiting it. The realization struck Alara like a hammer. She had spent her life searching for answers, pushing humanity forward into the unknown. But she had never considered that humanity might already be on the brink of judgment. The war machine had awoken because of humanity's own actions, its relentless expansion, its exploitation of resources, its disregard for the environment. The rapid pace at which humanity was advancing, with no thought for the consequences, had triggered the war machine's activation. For the first time in her life, Alara felt a chill of terror. This wasn't just a discovery, it was a reckoning. ASC. The war machine began to stir more vigorously, its massive form shifting. Alara's mind raced. Could she stop it? Should she try? The Aruvai's warning had been clear. Once activated, the war machine could not be undone. There was no turning back once it began its judgment. But humanity didn't deserve to be wiped out. Not yet. Alara refused to believe that all of humanity's potential could be eradicated for its mistakes. There had to be a way to stop it, to avert disaster. But as the war machine's body began to glow with an eerie, otherworldly light, Alara felt a deep sense of helplessness. The power this entity wielded was beyond anything she had ever imagined. Its very presence seemed to distort the laws of physics, warping time and space around it. Suddenly, a deep voice, ancient and unsettling, reverberated through the ship's communication systems. The war machine was speaking. "Judgment is imminent," it said, its voice a low, mechanical hum. "The balance must be restored. Humanity's corruption has triggered the cleansing sequence. Prepare for judgment." Alara's heart pounded. The words were chilling, but they were also strangely familiar. She had heard these warnings in ancient texts written by species that had long disappeared. The war machine had been created to cleanse the galaxy, to bring balance where there was chaos. Its purpose was not to destroy indiscriminately, but to restore balance. But how could humanity possibly meet the criteria? The galaxy was filled with so many species, and humanity had done more than its share to contribute to the imbalance. The very things that had made humanity so powerful, its greed, its rapid expansion, its disregard for the natural world, were now the reasons for its possible extinction. Alara was torn. She had spent her entire life fighting for humanity's place in the stars. She had believed that they were destined for greatness, that they could shape the future. But now, faced with the war machine's awakening, she had to ask herself, was humanity worthy? A decision loomed before her, one that could determine the fate of the galaxy. Alara was now in a position to either stop the war machine and risk triggering galactic war with the other species who viewed it as a sacred force, or to let it complete its purpose and cleanse humanity from existence. But there was no simple answer. The war machine was an ancient judgment, a reflection of humanity's own actions. Alara had pushed humanity forward into the unknown, but now she was staring at the consequences of that very ambition. Could she stop the inevitable, or was this the end of the road for humanity? The moment of reckoning had arrived. Alara stood on the edge of the unknown, staring at the glowing, massive form of the war machine as it pulsed with energy. Her heart beat in her chest, loud and erratic, but there was no fear. There was only a strange calm, a clarity that had arrived, unbidden, like a whisper in the dark. She had spent her entire life seeking answers, uncovering the secrets of the galaxy. But now the answer lay before her, wrapped in the very thing she'd once feared most. She could feel the weight of the war machine's presence pressing against her mind. Its thoughts, if you could call them thoughts, were not like those of any being she had ever encountered. They were vast, incomprehensible, and yet, strangely familiar. The war machine was not just a tool, not just a weapon, it was a living entity, with a purpose beyond human understanding. It had been designed to judge, to cleanse, to restore balance to a galaxy that had fallen into chaos. But now it was more than that. It was awakened, and it had a consciousness. The decision weighed heavily on Alara. She could try to destroy it, to prevent the war machine from carrying out its purpose, but she knew deep down that this would only lead to destruction. She could allow it to complete its mission and risk the annihilation of humanity, but she refused to accept that. There had to be another way, something that neither the war machine nor the galaxy had accounted for. In a moment of clarity, Alara understood. Humanity had something the war machine lacked: empathy. Innovation. The very qualities that had driven humans to explore, to create, and to change the world around them. She could not destroy the war machine, but perhaps she could reprogram it. Not by force, not through weapons, but through a connection, a fusion of minds. She stood at the control panel, fingers poised above the interface. The crew watched, uncertain of her next move, but Alara was resolute. She had made her choice. There was no turning back now. "Ryan," she said, her voice steady, prepared to initiate the link. Ryan hesitated for a moment. Confusion and worry etched across his face. "Alara, what are you planning to do?" "I'm going to link humanity's consciousness with the war machine," Alara explained, her gaze fixed on the glowing entity. "We're going to share it, merge with it. It's the only way to stop this. We can't control it, but we can connect with it, make it part of us. Maybe we can learn to coexist." There was a moment of silence, and then Ryan nodded, albeit reluctantly. Understood. Alara activated the neural interface, a network of sensors and cables that would allow her to connect directly with the war machine. She closed her eyes, bracing herself for the overwhelming force that would come when their minds intertwined. The connection was instant. It was as if her mind was being torn open, stretched thin across the universe itself. The war machine's consciousness poured into her thoughts, vast, ancient, and cold. But then, she began to inject something different. Human ingenuity. Empathy. The essence of what made humanity different from the countless other species that had come before them. It was difficult, painful even, but Alara focused, pushing through the barriers. Slowly, she began to feel a shift. The war machine's chaotic programming began to settle, its once violent, destructive impulses slowing down, aligning with her thoughts. It was no longer an uncontrollable force of judgment, it was something else now. Something they could share. The crew watched in awe as Alara's body twitched, her fingers moving erratically over the console. She was deep in the link now, her mind fused with the war machine's. She could hear its thoughts, its ancient, fragmented memories. The entity had been part of a long-dead effort by the Deathworlders, designed not to destroy, but to balance the galaxy's fragile equilibrium. It had been programmed to cleanse civilizations that had fallen into greed and corruption, but it had never learned empathy or the capacity to change. And now, humanity was teaching it.as the link strengthened. Alara felt her consciousness expand. The knowledge of the ancient Deathworlders flooded her mind, vast, incomprehensible, yet beautiful. She saw civilizations rise and fall, worlds being forged and destroyed, the endless dance of life and death. She saw the war machine, its true purpose, as a guardian, not of the galaxy, but of balance itself. But there was more, a terrible, incomprehensible truth that had been hidden from all but the Deathworlders themselves. The war machine's voice echoed in Alara's mind, more coherent now, but still laced with an eerie finality. Warning. The cleansing was never meant to protect from the galaxy's corruption alone. There's a greater threat, an ancient evil, older than any civilization, a force that even the Deathworlders could not overcome. The war machine was created not to preserve life, but to prepare for the return of this darkness. The realization hit Alara like a thunderclap. The war machine was not just a safeguard against civilizations gone astray. It was the last line of defense against something far worse, a force that no living species, not even the Deathworlders, had been able to stop. As her mind processed this new information, a chill swept over her. The galaxy's very survival depended on this ancient evil remaining dormant, hidden away in the shadows. The war machine had been guarding against it, waiting for a day when it would be needed again. And now that day was coming. Alara's heart pounded in her chest as the weight of this new knowledge sank in. Humanity had just inherited a power greater than they could ever have imagined. They had not destroyed the war machine, nor had they simply survived. They had become part of it. Humanity now shared a symbiotic relationship with the ancient entity, gaining access to the Deathworlders' knowledge and wisdom, but at a cost. They could never control the war machine. It was not a weapon to be wielded, it was a force to be respected, to be lived with. But that was not the greatest cost. The greatest cost was the knowledge that humanity had been chosen to face an even greater threat than they had ever anticipated. They were no longer simply explorers or conquerors. They were the new guardians of the galaxy, tasked with protecting it from a darkness that could destroy everything. Alara withdrew from the link, her mind heavy with the weight of this truth. She understood the philosophical question that would linger forever. At what cost does humanity rise? To greatness? Would they be able to rise as true guardians, or would they, like the Deathworlders before them, be consumed by the very power they sought to wield? The future was uncertain, but for now, humanity had survived. And they were no longer alone in the galaxy. They had the war machine, but they also had something more. The potential to become the guardians of a universe far darker and more dangerous than they could ever have imagined.